When it comes to laning, a good tower dive can often put you far ahead and snowball the entire game. On the other hand, a bad tower dive can do just that, but for your opponents instead. So here are my tips and tricks for how to tower dive, as well as what to do when being tower dove. For tower diving itself, the ideal situation is you want to set up a flank. Push the lane so the creeps tank the tower if necessary, and have someone come in from the backside, wrap around the opponents, and have your players stay on the edge of the tower range and cycle aggro accordingly, particularly to your tanks whenever a player gets low. The flank is absolutely key, and is the general thing to do when tower diving. Flanking denies any kiting potential your opponents may have, and so it's going to allow you to burst them down quickly and then back off, since you don't want to tank the tower for too long. In addition, try to get your opponents into the inside of the tower area. I call this the danger zone, and it really spells instant death for anyone being tower dove, since it's nearly impossible to dodge skill shots when you're pinned down in that area. Burst down your opponent, wait for creeps, and then you're free to take the tower. Now, if you cannot set up a flank, you're going to just have to run at them. And if you are forced onto this route, make sure that you're aware of the summoners your opponent has, as well as the disengage potential that they have as well, since they can easily turn a dive around completely. If you do have a summoner spell advantage, you can make use of that by flashing in, or more likely, flashing out after securing the kill. Just realize that you're going to have to close the distance somehow, either through mobility, range, or by getting the opponents to fight you in the first place, and so have a plan on how to close that range, as well as how to get out after you get the kill. Also, one thing I really like to do is to fake a tower dive. This is a great indicator of how reliable an actual tower dive may be. Just push the lane, and as your opponent CS's under tower, walk behind them as if you were going to set up a flank, but make sure that you don't deal any damage to them so that you don't take tower aggro. If they do nothing and you have the damage, a dive is likely going to work, since they pin themselves down by failing to react. If they back off, then, well, you can just take the tower. And sometimes they might use some key abilities to either wave clear or force you off of them, in which case you get to blow some major cooldowns for free, as well as set up for a future dive while they're still down. Just make sure not to hit your opponents when faking a tower dive, and judge their reaction accordingly to get a good basis of how to go off from there. And lastly, when tower diving, it's crucial to be aware of a counter gank. Many players will dive and then just stay behind the tower for a wave or two. This is actually a really bad idea. It's best to just back off immediately after a dive, as otherwise you're basically just ticking down the clock for when you're going to get counter ganked. Proxying waves after a tower dive is a fairly risky strategy unless you see all of the opponents on the map, so after a dive it's best to just go for the tower or for dragon. Now, for when it comes to being tower dove, your positioning is extremely important. If your opponents get a flank on you, you're screwed. So if they have the opportunity to do so, and it isn't just a face roll defense due to your burst and crowd control, then you should just back off and give up the tower. Otherwise, if they dive you head on, you're going to want to use crowd control and mobility to kite back. Be sure not to stand on the inside of the tower, as that is a heavily cramped area and will leave you open to skill shots as well as limiting your kiting ability. You always want to be on the outside of the tower, and watch as your opponents trade tower aggro. If you think you have the ability to fight, focus whoever is going to die the fastest, but note that many players will walk or more likely flash out of the tower range just before they're about to die, so switching targets is something you are going to have to do, and you have to take that into account. If you cannot fight or find yourself getting tower dove multiple times, you really just need to back off and respect your opponent's power. If they can tower dive you more than once and kill you, you need to just give up the tower, let them push in, and then you can freeze or look to push out and roam. You can't really expect to hold every tower, and so if you're in a losing situation, you're going to be forced to just back off or give up further advantages. And that's just about it. My name is Jeremy, and that's it for my video on tower diving. Be sure to check out my stream over at twitch.tv/Jeremy_gamingcurios, and stay connected at facebook.com/gamingcurios. Drop a like, share this video, and make sure to subscribe for some more awesome content in the future. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.